meeting to order. It is 7 o'clock, Wednesday, June 17th, 2019, the Old Town Hall upper level meeting room. I'm Zachary Karen. I'm the chairman of the board. Nicole Scallison is our office manager. Jonathan Gale is a voting member. Michelle Lee is a voting member. Peter Karen is a voting member. Greg Logan is our vice chairman. So first we're going to please rise for the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not bad turnout considering we waited for it to come 9 minutes. Pretty good. All right, so first under new business, we're going to review, discuss, and act case 419, 2022 Somerset Ave variance. It's a single-family home request in a commercial mixed-use zone and a house that was previously raised by the town. If the applicant could come forward to hear from this one. Yes, so we do need 3 voting members, and Jason, who is our clerk, is not here this evening, so Brad will be the one to assign the voting members. If possible, we have to avoid being on the same case by that. Okay. All right. Okay. We may start whenever you're ready. Okay.
My name is Elliot Paterza with A.S. Elliott and Associates, and the local has asked me to variance requesting is for area and for frontage. This is a pre-existing non-conforming lot, and like I said, they raised the house. I think it was either 3 or 4 years ago, or something like that. And so what they're proposing is to put in a one-family dwelling. There's already a system that's entitled to. So what we were asking for was variance on the area under the frontage.
And is the house going to be built on the same exact footprint as the previous building?
I don't believe so. From the old plans, I saw that the building was in this area, but it was too close to the street, so
Okay.
I'm going to move it back and then leave room for the septic.
Yeah, something we wanted because on our plans we don't have any kind of notation as to where the previous dwelling was. So that's why I was just wondering about that one.
Okay.
How far back would it be from the foundation?
It's going to be 56 feet back from the center line of the road.
What's the size of the whole lot? I can't see it all. So
The lot's 28,081 square feet. 23,081 square feet.
And what would the square foot be? What's for the footprint of the foundation?
50 by 36.
So what's your frontage that you need? You have?
You have to have 175, we have 163.
163.
It's one of the bigger lots on the street.
Are you the same owner as the one of the house that was torn down? No. Okay. And when you bought it, the house was already gone?
The new footprint of the new house meets all our town bylaws for setbacks, no side setbacks, back setbacks, all this. It's just size frontage. And type 5's been previously stated.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Is there any existing piping underground that has to be removed? Or are you gonna?
We're hoping to use the existing tank and system that's in and just tie it in back to the water main on the street.
Has that been inspected or looked at yet?
The septic tank?
The piping?
In the street? Not that I know of.
So is it a good connection as far as you know underground already that you want to tie into?
I think that the other service was in over by where the house was, so it probably makes sense to tie into it where the house is gonna go, the proposed location.
One thing that I noticed on the map too is that the barns in the back, is that on some, there's no ownership available. There's no, we don't know whose lot that is, that,
We couldn't find it. We may want to do some more research to find out what I suggested.
yeah, so right there, you can
Okay.
see that, so his property line
Oh,
right here.
okay.
Yeah, it's focused on his property line.
Okay.
And that fence, that's your fence, that's been there? The wood stockade fence, that's been there. Kind of, that also focused on those two lots actually. The barn is on the one, the fence on the two.
Now, this is directly behind, Atwood or behind the highway pond?
I think it's behind the highway, but on the strip.
This is train tracks.
Okay. If I could find out who the owner was, we were thinking of maybe approaching them to see if we can form another small strip to incorporate the fence and the barn, the existing barn.
Thought,
Yeah, I mean,
in terms of, I'd like to try to find out who the owner
I mean, it doesn't even say like it's town land, so I mean, it could be town land or it might not be, who knows?
I think my only concern when I was listening to this and having something before is I'd like to know whose that is if we can find out first.
I'll check with the assessor again, maybe they can.
Or maybe we can reach out also
Sure.
and find out. Just for all intents and purposes, that if there's somebody there, that's a butter as well.
Like you said, I think it's town barn, is that what it is?
Behind the highway department,
Yeah.
yeah. I was familiar with this piece here.
I mean, do you think it's town property? I mean,
I
I would figure it would say if it
I was
was.
gonna say it was purchased by, Tony Rock.
I purchased it, I sold it. Who you sold it? I'm not sure the address, but it's the last house on, it's a raised ranch, right behind T Street. That parcel line, where you got, for that one.
Here's the other side of the line now, going back towards Giorgio's, correct?
Pardon?
Going towards Giorgio's from his house. Maybe on the left-hand side up the road a little bit, on the Grays Ranch.
Yeah, it's the last one,
Yeah.
on that side.
This way?
Are there any butters that wish to be heard on this case? The property? Yeah, if you just, before you speak, if you just state your name please for the record.
Sure. Wayne LePage, 176 Cobb Lane. The only concern I have is water situation that we have down Cobb Lane. I'm not sure, I doubt that house will have an effect on it, but the town has to address the water drainage problem down Cobb Lane. My driveway's overloaded from it. That's the only concern I have.
Okay. And you guys, have you listened to any of the water runoff or anything like that?
No,
Okay.
I think it makes sense to, raises a fair point, it makes sense to want to see what's being done for Butter Rock.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Septic system's in, there's a raised system off to the left. I believe that piece of property is the little culvert between the road and the house, and it goes uphill, and the property down, if I'm not mistaken, it is below that road. If I'm not mistaken, is that flush that road?
I was trying to remember, I was out there.
I thought when you drove in, it went down the road, that down into the, high in the back, only septic system is. But, something we can look into with that, and see how they get that water runoff like that. Goes back towards that property over here.
I know that's something I would want to look into before we approve or deny the case. We'll be able to look into that.
So there's two question marks.
Yes, the
land, the butter land for the
barn and the fence, correct, yeah.
And the water mitigation.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any other questions or concerns among the board? Anybody, any other residents who wish to be heard on the case? Okay.
I think, like to make a motion then, that we not vote on this evening and table it pending more information on water mitigation. I don't know if we need a survey, or if we need to have, who would give us that information specifically?
Reach out to Jim, we can definitely reach out to the water.
To the water
Yep.
department, and to Jim Aguilar to find that out.
Yep.
And the second part of the motion is going to be that we make an attempt, perhaps through our administrative assistant, to find out who owns that other piece of property, and if it turns out it's the town, that answers the question. If it's in a butter, that we, if we haven't reached out to that abutter, that we reach out to that abutter prior to hearing any decision, making a decision.
I'm-
You good with that?
I will second that motion. Yep.
Clarification.
Sure.
Excuse me. Are you looking for just the back
Yeah.
abutter lot, not the fence post that you were also?
Back lot is a train line that runs between
There's
there, all the way
back.
across both
Okay.
properties.
Okay, so just that back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Wouldn't that person have been notified of that?
Yes.
So-
I know, but we're
But they're not here.
trying, we want to find out clarification on it, so, because right now there's actually structure, well, products that belong on that piece of property on that property. Want him to be aware of it, or her.
Right, it doesn't say there's no owner, it just says no ownership
Yeah.
info available according to our map, so it certainly could be an owner, according to this map, there is no saying who it is.
Oh,
I
Yeah,
think we'd just rather do due diligence and be sure that we're getting all the information we can, so that we're not making a premature decision.
alright, so I'll second the motion to put this under advisement until next meeting, which will be, for the record, August.
August?
Yes, we are doing August meeting, yep. It'll be the 21st.
We have an
No.
August meeting?
No,
No.
we can talk about that later, I think, just to the next meeting.
Okay, that's fine. Alright, so, and then we will obviously inform you guys of when the next meeting is gonna be.
And I have your information, so I can
Yes.
call you.
Okay.
if That's okay.
Okay, yeah, great.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Alright, so we'll be in touch with you guys. Alright, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, no, no.
All right, I got it. Okay. Let's see what we're looking for.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
But the whole thing is.
Alright,
Yeah.
moving right along, the next case, review, discuss, and act 519 Brook Street. It's a single-family home request on a non-conforming lot. Request to waive setbacks and shape requirements. The applicant is here, they can step forward.
Can you read that? Elizabeth?
Yes, and we just want to clarify that Brook Street is a lot 302, that's correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Bob Barrowby, Pro Engineering, representing Tony. Of the property.
Mr. Chairman, I need to pick up
Yep,
members.
3 voting members, please.
Okay, I'm going to pick Zach Karen, Jonathan Karen, and Greg Logan.
Okay, all set to go?
Yep.
Okay. What we have, as you can see in bold, this is Brook Street, this is Elm Street. It's a corner lot, very oddly shaped. It does have 275 feet of frontage. We conducted a land survey of the property, also a topographic survey. So it does contain 275 feet of frontage. There is water available on Brook Street and on Elm. It does have 35,540 square feet of area, but it's a very irregular shaped lot. We sent a botanist out there to locate the resource areas. We have the Segregated River to the south, so we put in 4 flags along the property line there. And then he also located the wetlands that extend beyond the river high water marks, put in 4 flags there also. So the first resource area is the 200-foot setback from the Segregated River, which is shown as this dashed line. So it pretty much wipes out the bottom portion of the lot. The 100-foot buffer is also right here. They also located an isolated wetland area pretty much in the middle of the lot, which you can see here, and he's got 5, 6, 7 flags surrounding that. It's got no water resources that come into it or exit it. It's more like a little isolated area, probably from activities that were done on this site many years ago. The site contains an existing foundation, which I'm showing right here. The foundation is 7 feet off the property line. It's an old stone foundation. I'm not exactly sure the history of it. I live right down the street from here. There's been nothing that's been a foundation forever. And some people say it was a store or something like that. It could have been, but it was definitely a building. There's also an old well here, and you can see the piping that came into the foundation from the well. So something was going on here that required, like, humans were like living or working there. What we're proposing to do is remove the foundation, abandon the well. If this is granted, tie into town water and construct a moderate sized house, 26 by 36 house in this portion of the property. I can't get the house on the property and meet the 55-foot setback from the center of the street and the 15-foot setback in the rear. So what we're proposing, we located the house across the street. This is an old, Elm Street is probably one of the oldest streets in the town. So I located that just to show that it wouldn't take away from the neighborhood. So the house across the street would still be closer. So what we're proposing to do is to construct a house 20 feet off the property line. This is a variable width street, but it's about 40 feet wide. So that would put us about 40 feet setback from the center of the street versus 55 that's required. We are proposing 19 feet in the back just to give it a little bit of a backyard. And the reason why we're doing that is because it's also in the flood zone. So this house will be built up. The road is outside the flood, especially when you come down towards the intersection of the street, but the flood elevation, as stated on the plan, is 14, so the finished floor will be up above that, probably about a foot or so above the street. This house is much higher than that, but that'll let us do like a walkout or a partial basement in the back to keep that undisturbed. But that's what we're asking for. This line here, the wetland line is here. The innermost circle around the wetland is the 25-foot no-touch zone. So if this does get approved, the next step is to go to conservation. We can't do anything in the 25-foot no-touch.
Right.
The second line outside from that is the 50-foot no-structure line. So I've got the building located outside of that, so it would comply with building. And then this last circle is the 100-foot buffer zone. We can put the building within that line, but we can't put the septic system in there. So we did conduct perk tests in this area. It's the only place that's outside of the 100-foot buffer or the resource, the riverfront area. So we did conduct those in the presence of Todd Pilling, the agent, and the perks were successful.
Okay.
So that's why we're here.
I would like to say something, if I may.
Sure. Okay.
I own the property at 303 Brook.
Here's a yep.
Yeah, 303 Brook.
Your name?
George Goulat, Jr. Okay, this is the area he's talking about. This area that's flooded. And that remains flooded all year round. I've lived there for 30 years. And dependent on if we have a heat wave and so forth, that remains flooded. And my main concern is, A, the lot is not...
Hang on, I think you're jumping the gun.
Yeah. that would
You're
be
in a
cons-
butter?
That'd be a
Yes.
conservation.
All right, he hasn't opened it up to abutters yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't...
No, that's okay.
I didn't want you guys to think I'm with these guys.
I wasn't sure. That's why I said go ahead. Okay.
All
Okay,
right, but we will bring that up to you, since you can do your argument in regards to that.
very good.
Yeah, it's all right, no problem.
Right now, we're just going over his site plan to see
Very
where
good. I
we're
thought
at.
he had
Yeah, no,
completed his,
it's okay.
Thanks.
Just, you'll have a chance.
thank you.
You're welcome. Which way is this house gonna face, Brook Street or
Brook
Elm
Street.
Street?
Brook.
So why is the address on Elm Street? I mean,
It's
why
not-
is the address on Brook Street if it's gonna face Elm Street?
It's facing Brook.
He's gonna have to
Listen,
fix it.
So you're gonna go with a smaller, so you're gonna face Brook.
I'm assuming the front door is gonna be on Brook, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did I see? Okay. David Brook Street. Thought I read somewhere.
You did, yeah, it was here. So it says corner of Brook Street and Elm.
I knew I
Yeah.
saw that.
Yeah, I drive by it every day, so it's right.
So Tony, you did meet with Conservation Committee already, correct? And what was their, what, in your words, was their findings on the proposal that you made?
What they requested. They requested that a botanist be brought in, the lot lines were surveyed. The botanist came in, he flagged it, and he deemed that isolated wetland. They thought it might be a perennial pool, but it wasn't, and it does go dry. And it's very small. I think it's less than, what, 600 feet? 600 square feet?
I don't have a scale with me. 1 in 40
It's
scale.
very small
yeah.
anyways. But I conformed with everything that they asked me to do. And they lifted the order that they had given me.
If it does get approved, then we
You gotta
still
go
have to
back.
go through conservation,
Oh, yeah.
a notice of intent filing with them.
Right, and so just for the record, this was a letter that they addressed to you July 15th, 2019. It's signed by Charles Mello, the secretary member of the Dayton Conservation Committee, and I'll just read it as follows. Tony, at our meeting on July 12th, 2019, you met with the commission and discussed your requested variance for your Brook Street property with the Zoning Board of Appeals. You explained that you had halted the land clearing on that property and requested that we rescind the enforcement order issued on March 9th, 2018 for the removal of trees within the land subject to the coastal storm flowage without a valid permit at 0 Brook Street and issue a letter of confirmation. The commission discussed your request and determined that you did halt the tree removal on the property as required in the order, and you did comply with our verbal request to hire a wetland consultant to delineate any and all wetland resource areas on the property. The commission voted unanimously to approve your letter and instructed its secretary to issue a letter acknowledging its decision to rescind the enforcement order issued on March 9th, 2018. Sincerely, Charles Mello. So they did send that our way, so that was good that we have that. Any more questions?
One of the questions I got is pretty much what we're here for, I believe, is for setback reliefs. And the existing foundation that's there now, are you touching that, or are you getting rid of
We're just
that?
gonna remove it.
Okay. And driveway we cleared up is on Brook Street.
Correct.
The bottom of the foundation you stated is gonna be at 14 feet, which is the lowest point in the front.
The finished floor will
Finished
have
floor,
to be above
1 foot above,
14.
yeah. In the septic system, it's gonna be raised in that corner?
It'll be filled somewhat because of the water
Yeah.
table that was determined there.
So we're gonna do like a retaining wall of some sort?
Oh, we haven't designed it yet, but it does come up. You can see it goes 14, 15, 16.
So it does go
So
up.
if the water table was, say, a couple of feet below ground at this point, then it'll be brought up to meet the separation to water table. So what we're envisioning is
That's what I was thinking, is
filling
the
it,
corner.
yeah, filling it up just in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the system will have to meet the 20-foot setback from that, and we're probably gonna put the primary system here, the reserve will be here, that way we can taper everything
Taper it
off.
back. So there ain't gonna be no huge hump on the corner of Elm and Brook, so they can see
No,
over. That's
no,
what I was just
definitely
clearing
won't
that
be a
up.
hill, No.
Okay.
And as far as the rest of the property, with this isolated land in the middle of the property here, the 25-foot no-touch intersecting the front property line and the rear property lines,
Mm-hmm.
then there won't be any activity. There's nothing proposed to go
And the house
back
is set
in
to be
here.
at 50 foot?
I got the house at 20 from the property line, which would be about 40. This is a variable width street, but we did locate stone walls. There's a concrete monument in this corner over here. And like I said, we did survey the property.
No, but you were saying that this smaller circle is the 25 foot?
The smallest dash circle is the 25
So,
foot no
and then
touch line.
the new house is proposed at 50 feet.
Yeah,
Right.
because
That's
that's the
why-
no setback.
And that's where
line.
you'd have to go in front of
Yeah.
conservation on that map.
Yep. Yep.
So the relief that you're looking for is those few things that I read. Now, I don't know if anybody else has any questions. And the water's gonna come off of Brook Street
Brook.
as well?
Yes.
Do you know offhand what the other setbacks are in the neighborhood besides that one?
I
on
don't
the corner?
know, I don't know this gentleman's house. So I'm just renting a place up the street. I just located the one directly across the street,
Yeah,
and I'm showing it at 11 feet.
okay. So you don't know a lot 87 or 8, or there's nothing marked on this map
No,
here?
I'm not even sure what's, I know that there are houses back here, there's like a driveway, there's, I think, a couple of houses on that lot, because they
Right.
drive way down in the back.
Yep.
So I might have a Google image on that, I'm not sure.
Might have a bundle of- wouldn't be able to-
Yeah.
Any more questions before I open up to the public?
I'm just concerned about changing the characteristics of the neighborhood. There's that one dwelling across the street, but,
He's got the map here.
This is the assessor's map, these are usually pretty good.
yeah, they are.
So that's the house, just directly across from us. Then here, these houses look like they're set, this one's, looks like it's set further back, but this was the one that has several dwellings on it. The first one is right up near the front of the property.
Can you,
Yeah,
can you
this
show
is-
that? to
Yeah,
Peter?
I mean, yeah, that map
Just for a second, Bob?
just does not show the exact setback stuff.
No,
It
it wouldn't show the setbacks on
Give you a
it, but it gives
basic
us an idea of where the houses are located.
Yeah, Rose's house is further back, that's the second house. And then the third house is closer.
Look at these houses here. Okay, thank you. Can
So
you-
we,
Yeah.
and we'd be about 40, so we'd be about
20 feet off the road.
Yeah.
Right, and you're
Just-
40 feet from the center of the road.
Yeah.
As you're saying that it's approximately 40 feet wide.
Correct. So the first house being 11, you can see that this house here looks similar
Yeah.
to that. And Rose's house, the ranch is set back
Right.
because they have all the shrubbery in the front.
Anyone else before the public about it? Alright, so you wanna go right ahead.
Okay.
Continue your,
So this, whatever you want to call it, swamp, does not dry up.
okay.
And my main concern is if Mr. Roderick puts a house in there with a foundation, where that runoff is gonna go. In my basement. And again, per your letter, and I understand why we're here, but it's a non-conforming lot, because when I bought this property, the person that sold it to me also owned this property back in 1985, said it was non-buildable, which I assume is why you guys call it non-conforming now.
Well, it's not,
It doesn't read out.
it doesn't meet the standards for a
You
buildable
told me
lot.
it was non-buildable.
Right.
Well, anyway, so I'm concerned about this, and I beg to differ with Mr. Roderick, because I've been there for 30 years, and even this weather we're having here without rain, that is full of water. And this property on Chase Street, both sides heading out to 138, that if you go by there, even tonight, there's water there, standing water. So that's a concern of mine.
Okay.
What I do if all of a sudden Mr. Roderick builds a home and all of a sudden I get water in my basement. That's a major concern for me, even though I have sump pumps and so forth already.
Do you get water in your basement at this time?
I have not, no. But earlier, obviously in the spring, I get water in there. In the summer.
Everybody does.
Yeah, true, I understand that. But that does not dry up.
That would be something conservation would,
And
Seep
I have
on that
spoke
matter.
to, I'm sorry, Mr.
Charlie Mello?
Charlie
Mello,
Mello
yeah.
numerous times, And that's when he told me that he had shut down Mr. Roderick from cutting trees down and so forth.
Okay.
And then I've noticed that he's hired somebody and they've cleared the lot, and who I know the kid, but, and brought in Phil. And he told me that nothing was gonna be done. He couldn't do anything on that property until we had this sit down.
Well, it goes from us to back to conservation.
Okay, I understand,
They
sir.
would be the final say on that matter that you're talking about.
Yeah.
No touching and all that stuff.
So I can maybe elaborate on,
Sure.
on that. The high points of the property are on Brook Street. This is the topographic survey. These dash lines, numbers 11, 12, 13, 14, every line is a 1 foot increment coming up from the low point, starting down here at 10. We extended our survey beyond the back of our property line. We were shooting grade. So the wetlands, like you were saying, is the low point of that lot, and that's why it's wetlands, because it's held here. Just like the wetlands here are the low points as you get down to the river. Up in this area between the two wetlands, the land is actually higher up in here, just like there's no wetlands on your property.
No, there are not.
where
I agree.
the yard is. So what happens with this house being here, the contours show the flow of water is always perpendicular to contour line. So flow from say 14 would head to 13 and 12, 11, and then go down this direction. This loop here means that all the water, anything, if this ever
Can you elaborate as far as how far the wetlands go? Do they actually go up to this
the
point
wetlands,
considered?
no. This is all upland between these flags
Yeah, from
here
the Segregated
and
River
here.
up to Elm,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is just a circle of isolated wetlands. Beyond
Which is
it,
that guy right there.
yeah, that's right. And beyond it is not wetlands. Now, our botanists didn't go onto their property because it's not Tony's property.
Well, it's Somerset Water, and then it was
Yeah.
Montauk or whatever.
Correct, I
whoever
think
owned
that's
it
about
at that point.
Yeah. So he located what intersected our property lines, which
Yep,
was here.
yep.
And then he located this because it was wetland and still is, and will always remain wetland.
So it's considered wetland.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely wetland. With
Yep.
the- and that's why these lines right here,
Yep,
he can't do anything with that. What he's probably gonna end up doing is putting a split rail fence right along here to show where the limit is of the activities that he can do on this piece of
Yep, I
property.
gotcha.
And then he can't come in here because it's got the 25-foot no-touch zone, which I identified on the plan.
Okay.
So his activities will be here. If the runoff, like what he's proposing to do, is a walkout, which would mean no filling back here. He'd clear it, take the stumps out and stuff, and put a lawn back there. But the flow that goes, right now, it heads in this direction.
back towards the
From here.
river.
Yeah, and then out towards the river.
Yep.
It would have to go, like, this is higher than this is here.
This area? Yep.
So it would have to, like, fill the river and then come uphill to get over the highland to get towards
Understood,
your
sir. Yep.
property.
Yep.
So that would give you the protection that the water's not gonna come from here into the wetlands and then go uphill. It's gonna come.
Or
if
it could go,
sheds-
it could go in the groundwater though.
Yeah, it would.
Because
it
water
would
will run
definitely
through the
go in-
ground.
Yeah, it'll definitely
And
go in the
that's
groundwater.
my concern.
Yeah, but the groundwater, the hydraulic movement of the groundwater will be in this
To
direction
push it towards the
river.
Segregated River,
Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause
But
this
can
is
you
much
guarantee
lo-
that?
I can't guarantee anything, but I can,
That's
but,
kind of my concern I'd like to
Yeah.
bring before the board. Because if something happens, what leverage do I have to come back to the zoning board or Mr. Roderick and have this corrected?
Did you say you already started to clear the land and put fill in, or you did not?
Yeah, I did. In the upland. I cleared it with conservation.
Why would you have started that without even approval of building a house?
When I bought this property, I bought it from the town.
Yeah.
And with the understanding that it was a buildable lot until I got Mr. Barrowby involved in it and we started doing surveys.
Somebody told you it was a Form A lot?
Town did. I mean, it conforms with it, except the setbacks. The lot is narrower than what it showed on assessors maps.
Right.
My concern is that letter, basically, the letter says that you stopped cutting. you stop, doing what you were doing. The letter doesn't say that you have permission to do what you did.
I didn't do anything in the letter. After I
That's what
had
I'm-
the botanists come out and flag everything and determine what it was, I stayed in the upland part of it.
Unless I'm missing something.
Because that
Somebody
order was,
correct me.
that order was lifted back in 1918, in 2018,
Right, March, yeah.
March of 2018.
But is there anything since giving, saying that it could be cleared?
It just stated he couldn't touch near the wetlands. He was filling his upland.
Any other letters?
Are there any butters that wish to hear, wish to be spoken? Sure.
None?
If you just state your name, sorry, for the record.
My name is Alice Susan, I live on Elm Street.
Okay.
What type of water is going in, Taunton water or Somerset water? I understand that the Somerset water pumping station up on Elm Street's been closed.
It's the Somerset line.
I've inquired both with Somerset and Dayton. Somerset is really reluctant to give a new tie-in to their water lines. Well, by law, they have to. But if not, Dayton would give me water off of Elm Street. But I'm trying to get Somerset water because it's right on the property line.
Where does this Dayton water go down? Does it go down Elm Street?
Goes down.
Because I know I have Somerset water.
I do too,
Me too.
Mrs. Souza.
But there's a line that goes down there. They showed it to me.
And the other question I have is, how's the floodplain fit in there? I understand before I even bought my house, that the water came up to the wall, it's at the house that's to my left. It's, and then in the wall, but the water is up to that wall.
Which is Mr. and Mrs. Reddy's?
Excuse me?
Mr. and Mrs. Reddy's or Mr.
No,
Bennett's?
the other one, the new house. The
Oh.
Bennett's,
Oh, to the left of yours.
yes.
Yeah, and it does, and that's why I tried to explain to the board
And
that on
that's-
Chase, in front of Mr. Tripp's house,
yes,
that's
up to
always
that
flooded
wall,
in there.
Up to that wall that faces that
Yeah,
property.
I agree, 100%.
That's what I was told. I wasn't living there at the time.
I see it.
45 or something like that, that the water came up to that wall and they had to evacuate Mrs. Tripp and their 2 children were both.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I was told.
Before my time.
Well, no, there's water there right now, Tony.
Where?
On Chase Street, near Mr. Tripp's house, and that new home. I'm not sure what that gentleman's name
Not on
is.
my property, there's no water on my property.
But there's water there, so that could transfer onto this property.
So,
As- There's water over here too, running up Elm Street.
There's not a hill going downhill from that corner going down towards Chase Street.
Yep.
It declines down to a lower level, which is a button to a bridge that goes across Elm Street.
Are you talking about
Yeah.
going down
Yeah, 'cause you're
towards
coming
the
this way.
computer barn?
This is
Towards
the one.
Woodbury?
This is the
That's
one way.
That's Chase Ave, right?
yeah, that's
This is
Chase.
the one way over here, and then you're
Yeah.
coming this way and Chase is over
Yeah,
here.
so now at Chase Ave, isn't that a lot lower than where Mrs. Perry lives?
It does go downhill.
Do you know how much though?
I don't know.
I know it's downhill, but I ain't huge.
We did the septic design for the house on the corner
And what would
of
do
Chase. It wasn't based on,
elevation much
yeah,
of this?
it was an assumed elevation.
Yeah.
But I know before they fixed the bridge, the water would go right over the
I
street.
remember it. Then they did the
Then they
bridge.
fixed the bridge.
I do
So
remember
it
that.
doesn't, but even when it was going over the
Used
street.
to do it right over there on Brook Street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was talking about, yeah.
Mhm.
Because they used to close the road.
Mm.
Because we've been there.
Now they got the
20
volume of
years.
water going much quicker through and going down
Yeah.
into the Saragansett River.
Yeah.
But when it was flooding over the street, it was really, the bridge was a bump, so it kind of flooded on both sides of the bridge first until it got high enough and to wipe it out, but it wasn't flooding like the whole street.
Just that
was
little
in
area.
that area before that white house.
Because I remember Chase Ave too used to get water on that once in a while, but I haven't seen it in a long time. But I do remember, I don't drive that road all the time either. But I do remember it, but that's a lot lower than it's going downhill from the corner where you want to build.
Yeah.
I don't remember it ever coming up. you guys are stating it did to that new house on the corner there. I never remember seeing it there, but I'm not denying it, I just don't remember seeing it there.
Yes, you could just address the abutters concern about the floodplains.
Well, the flood elevation is 14. As far as the flood elevation with our house, that'll be constructed to meet the current flood laws. So the house will be raised.
It'd be 1 foot above.
Yeah, and
Floor.
then we'll grade off the side of the house. That'll be graded off so that it matches the existing grades around the house. Then there'll be some filling for the septic system here, and like I said earlier, then it'll taper off. So the flow of the water from the house and the septic is still gonna be in this direction. This map, I don't know if I can see it, but this is part of a USGS map. So we're located here, and they don't give you all the contours. I'm not sure if you can see it, but you can see where it comes down to Chase Street from there, because this is Chase right here. But these, read those, but the opposite contours on there. But they're usually like 5 or 10 foot contours, so it's not like 1 foot contours like we put on our plans. But you can see where it comes from here, because this is where we are.
Yep.
And then it crosses a contour line, it heads down in this direction. So it could be, if it's 5 foot contours, it could be 5 feet lower as you come to the river, which cuts across right here.
And you own the property right here, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you're.
Actually,
Yeah, right here. Yeah.
Are there any more abutters concerns? Oh, sure.
Bedrooms will be in this house?
How many bedrooms?
How many bedrooms?
3? 3, according to the applicant. Anybody else?
Henry Bennett, 1688 Elm Street. That's a house directly on a corner of Brook and Elm. I heard the applicant talk about a couple of references to the old house, and I wonder how he used it and what he was talking about.
He stated there's an old foundation on the
No, not
property.
the foundation, no, not the foundation, I'm
okay.
talking about the house across the street. He used it in reference to something, I didn't catch it because I'm not hearing well.
It looks like on this drawing here, it's got an 11-foot setback from the stone wall that you have now, going to the front corner of your house. The closest point of your home is 11 feet off the property line, according to this.
It's, yeah, not a shed, but your house.
Why don't you pull up and take a look if you like?
Since they rebuilt those 2 bridges though, they've,
Oh, it's fixed.
that was, the narrow bridges was
They
holding
made
water
that
back.
whole contour like that.
Yeah.
So from the property line to
The property line being the stone wall, is that what you're referring to?
Remember, it used to flood on Tony Costas
right here, in the corner of the property.
before they did that bridge.
Yeah, yes, the survey is lot.
yeah, Tony Costa is right next door.
Yeah,
Heading towards the
going back.
Roses.
The actual issue in front of us is whether to allow the 20 feet
Setbacks,
setback.
pretty much.
So that's what you're talking about.
As far as the water goes,
It's a conservation.
it's conservation's job.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
And one rule of thumb was to do to the neighborhood by allowing a house that has this 20 foot setback.
Hold on, guys, we got a lot of talking going on, we gotta,
We'll go back how far? The street level? Back to it.
He can only work in this area. Is up the street, it's not gonna go all, the whole length of the frontage.
So how far back here is the back door going
Once
to
it
go?
goes to the house at 20 feet.
Just to give it a-
Requesting,
Yeah,
then after that, it'll
It's
taper
right
down
here,
to
so
the
the
side
house is
of the
gonna be
house.
right here.
and how about
Which
the
is
back?
another thing.
Because that's the
back,
one-way
which is
section.
for racks.
This
And
being
that's the
the,
wall he's talking about. Yeah, he's talking
Elm
about this
Street.
right here. I'm thinking,
There's gonna be level with the road too?
This is gonna remain like it is here. Yeah, because Elm Street starts to go down.
Yeah. What about the cesspool? Is that going to be in here? That's what
Septic
it's
system
not.
would be in here.
Is
It
that
has
guy
to be.
above ground?
Yeah, it has to be. But it's not gonna be above the street when they come in from the street.
Actually, if you were looking at it, this is a photo from my property, so the foundation would be off to this side.
The existing one.
Well, the existing pump house, or whatever the heck it is over here somewhere. But the home that Mr. Roderick's is proposing would be
This
over...
is the foundation or this is?
Alright,
the-
guys, I'm sorry, we can't have two conversations going on.
I'm sorry.
It's alright, it's okay. Alright, any more butters?
Morris Jewish, 399 Brook Street. The structure that was on the property was an old barn. It was built somewhere around 1900. It was used by the Elmesian family, and before them, I think it was Bohazian family. Bosian, sorry. I always brutalize that name. Anyway, the problem is, there's so much water in that area. I'm just concerned as a public safety issue. I just had my area surveyed for a FEMA exemption from flood insurance. And although my top of my foundation is 14 feet, they still hold me within the flood zone, and I live a considerable distance further on down Brook Street. And I know there's water in there. Tony has just dropped, how many loads of fill, Tony? 4, 5?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Into that corner. And, you know, there's another issue that faces you folk. If there is runoff during the winter onto the roadways and there's a freeze, there's potential for public safety hazard. I know in one instance up in Walpole, the backhoe knocked over the stakes for where the foundation was supposed to go, and they skewed the house. And when they had a snowfall on the porch, the water ran down right across the street, and it was a fatality. So that's something folks have to look at.
And when you get a building permit, and the inspector comes out after the foundation is set in the property, he requires the architect to come back out, do what they call an as-built foundation. Wow. Well, that's what they require us to do.
Yeah, I'm very much
Cover
aware of that.
our entity on that, and I mean, that would be up to the building department on that part, but I do understand what you're stating about the water runoff. I'm not sure if you understood though, the way, if I'm not mistaken on this, is that the foundation of this house is gonna be the same footprint as yours, as that you're still in the flood zone.
Yep.
The septic system is not gonna be a raised system on that corner, so water is still gonna be determined from the corner of Brook and Elm Street.
No,
back to this property.
I'm very familiar with it. This is what I do.
Well, this is what I'm making sure we're all on the same page. That's why we ask these questions, so when it's done, that's what we're expecting. You know, not a raised system and have the water running back into your road or anything like that.
If he can get one in there, I give him a lot of credit. Thank you, gentlemen. Ladies.
Anybody else?
I don't know if you can see
Y'all
this.
set?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is Mr. Bennett's house.
Oh, that's
the
the gentleman,
right
yeah.
here. And this is looking from my yard. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'm just kind of wondering, personally, I'm considering a site visit. How about you guys? You guys at all feel that's necessary or want to see anything?
I'm familiar with the site, but I don't mind a site visit. I'm just saying I'm familiar with the property. I know where it is. I've ridden bicycles by it for all my years. I know all the butters for the most part, know who they are in town. But I'm fine with that. It's totally up to you guys if you want to do a site visit, see what the elevations are, see what it looks like.
Just because of all the concerns that are being raised right now?
The concerns that we can only hear is setback concerns.
Right.
Most of the concerns that Mr. Roderick has to deal with is through conservation.
Like we were discussing, it's not a water, I know it's a water issue to everybody here, but it's not a water issue to this board.
Yeah.
Okay.
What this board is.
It's indirectly.
Indirectly.
Yeah.
But what the application that they've come and asked relief for is, they're supposed to have the house is supposed to be 55 feet from the center of the road.
Yep.
And right now they have 40 feet. So they're
Which
asking,
brings up my analogy of the situation in Walpole, where they did in fact have a porch, the snow melted on the porch, ran across the street, and they had a fatality.
I think I can suggest it makes sense regardless from what we're also hearing from the abutters, and although it's not the direct rational reasoning, it does make sense for us to consider a couple of things. So here I go. Mr. Motion, here he goes again. That's all I have to say. I would make a motion, first of all, because I think it's important for us to attempt to make a site visit. And although Greg is familiar with the property, some of us are not, so it may make sense to make a site visit. I could put that in for part A of my motion. Part B of my motion would be that since they're asking for an adjustment in the amount of the footage, and that is indirectly as a result of what they need to do because of the water question or the flood question, that we ask, again, going back to similar earlier, ask either the building inspector or the water department to provide us with information that relates to how the water flow would go in flooding, potential for flooding or mitigation of, and how that would be done.
Okay, just before you do in fact make that motion, I just want to see if there's any more input from anybody.
Are you gonna be
No
putting
questions?
underground piping for your gutters and all that stuff out towards the back?
Well, we go to the,
And what would the pitch for your driveway be going out to the street roughly? You haven't determined that yet until you get elevation
well,
markings.
until I find out how far the setback of the house is gonna be.
And is there a sewer drain in the corner of that property?
No.
No water drain, nothing like that
No.
so it
The
runs
corner
right
of
there?
Elm and Brook is a high point
Yep.
either way. That's the high point
Right.
of both streets.
But I didn't know if it went coming like up by Mrs. Souza and up by Mr. Reddy's coming down the hill, if there was a culvert there or
No,
not.
I don't know.
All right.
So if I can, to finish, I think it is, what I was gonna suggest also is I think it's important to also ask the sewer department to provide us with information as to potential runoff and how they would see any runoff coming from that property and how it would affect other properties or how it would affect the street.
There's no sewer there. It would be on site sewer.
Because I don't mind doing a site visit, but I'm just saying, for some of the concerns of elevation of house,
Yep.
driveway, clarifying this board with how high the septic system's gonna look, it's not gonna be to science, but we
I
gotta
mean-
figure it out.
Right.
Because ultimately, it's just the setback conditions that he's asking from our board, and most of these other concerns, the conservation does handle.
right.
I'm just trying to explain that to some of the new members of the board, that usually goes through the conservation line. When it comes to the sewer, water, they go through all that. But I don't mind doing this if you want to,
I mean, if it's just for my sake, I don't mind just driving by and looking at it instead of calling a whole meeting there.
is that legal? Can we do
Right,
that?
yes.
Yeah, you can do-
What
yeah.
we would do is, you would make a motion to take it under advisement, and, which means that the members of the board want a chance to drive by the location at their leisure, to say, okay, this is where the house is gonna be, I have an idea if this is gonna be the elevation
Yeah, not
of the
go
sep-
onto your property or anything like
septic
that. Just
system.
strictly drive by.
You can go on it.
And then, after finding out those facts, they would come back and discuss it at the next meeting and say, well, this is what I saw. One of the things as a member of the board that I always look at is, what does it do to the neighborhood? The water, like Greg said, is not our issue. That's an issue with conservation and the building inspector. They're going to determine whether or not there's going to be a flood there and whether the conservation lets you build or not. What this board is being asked is, in our bylaws, we have a house cannot be less than 55 feet from the center of the road. So that's all he's asking for from us is, will we let him put the house 40 feet from the center of the road? Unfortunately, I understand and feel for the neighbors where there's a lot of water in the neighborhood, but that's conservation's job. It's not this board's to determine whether or not there's gonna be an impact with the runoff. It's this board's job is to say, look, every house in the neighborhood is 100 feet from the road. Putting a house 40 feet from the road is going to change the neighborhood. Do you want to allow that to happen?
Right.
So that's what the board should be considering right now, is whether or not they think that 20 feet or 40 feet from the center of the road, if the road is indeed 40 feet wide there, I'm not so sure that it is at that point. It is an odd width, that road. Whether or not you want to grant him the permission to build a house with just 40 feet of setback. So a lot of the other conversation that's going on is important, but it doesn't it's not what this board is supposed to hear.
Ours does not impact.
It is, sir, because the setback dictates the spread of the water running off the house. In other words, if you have a house and it's on the street and it's got a snow load of 2 feet on it,
He can build a house 15 feet wide there if he wanted to, and 100 feet long. It would still come out to the same square footage of roof.
That's why we wanted to do a site visit
That's-
to.
exactly.
Right, that's why we're saying, let's give the board the opportunity to drive by.
But you seem to be categorizing it that the water issue isn't under your board, but in a sense it is.
Well, this is what we were discussing, is how you have the topography of the land.
Right.
How it's sloping from the street,
Right.
where the house is going, it's going back, not forward. This is the reason why I asked,
Well, it depends upon what the
elevation
the
of the
elevation
house.
is from the fills.
why I asked Mr. Roderick, the elevation of the house to the street for the water runoff of the driveway. Realistically, it's not our field, that would be the building department on that end, but these are a few questions, we're just trying to get it out so all the public would be understanding what we're up against. According to the topo of this property, everything is running to the back, into that vernal pool or whatever they want to call it, into that center, and that's what conservation, that's all Mr. Karen was trying to say.
Yeah, so that being said, I personally don't feel the need for a site visit, but I do want
Yes,
I do want to be able to drive
Go by,
by.
take a look and say, yeah, that either, oh, that's way uphill or that's down.
Well, a site visit is just giving the opportunity for the members to drive by at their own leisure. It's not saying we're gonna meet on a certain day and walk the
I see
property.
what you're
It's
saying,
just
okay.
that I'd like to drive by and say, okay, this is where the house is gonna be. What do all the other houses in the neighborhood look like?
Okay.
These neighbors are the ones that are gonna have to live with the house being there.
Right.
It doesn't change the property value when you have a house that close to the street. Does it change the house next door's value? Does it decrease it? Does it look like that neighborhood's gonna be packed compared to other houses that are in the neighborhood
Right.
where they're not on top of one another or on top of the street?
Could I just ask the applicant, for some of the members, could we just put like 4 stakes where you think the home's gonna be roughly in that location? So you at least see,
We can see
driving
it.
by, you won't, well, was it
Right.
here or here, or you get an idea? Within a few feet of each other, but, and that, for your answer, that'll be showing you elevation of the home too. So that being said, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we, request that we go to an on-site visit, drive-through, be able to look at where the location of the house is, and before we act on this, and we table this to the next meeting.
I think there was a motion.
I
I made a motion, it wasn't seconded or anything.
thought you were just saying what your motion would be. I didn't think you were actually making a motion.
Okay, well, I was making that was meant to be a motion.
Right.
But I
One of
also
the
hear-
3 voting members should make the motion and be seconded by a voting member.
Right. That's why I wanted before Jason. I mean
Yeah.
before Jonathan continued. That's why I didn't want it to be a formal
Right.
motion, because we didn't finish hearing everything.
No, I was
yet.
trying to explain what my motion would be.
Right.
And the other thing that you want to do is the 3 voting members, to make sure that they're going to be at the next meeting, because if not, you're going to have somebody else fill in for them.
Yeah.
So if the 3 of you cannot make the next meeting, then you should determine now that it's going to be an alternate member.
Right.
I will make the next meeting.
And you can't, John.
No, we haven't determined when we're meeting yet,
Right.
so I expect I will.
And just for the record, the vote has to be unanimous, so all 3 members have to vote on whether or not it's approved.
So if August is going to be out, the next meeting would be September 18th. Is our third Wednesday in September.
We are not meeting in August.
So who?
Thought that was
John,
questionable.
just you can't make that meeting.
The date is what, 20?
21st.
I can't guarantee I would be here.
So we can make an alternate.
Right, at that time, we can pick an alternate.
The
You
alternate.
drive by it every day, you
I
said,
do.
right?
Okay.
I could get out and look.
Okay.
Yeah, I buy it twice every day.
Can't borrow
I
it.
know it's short, but I don't know.
That's 9/18.
Right.
Yes, 9/18 is Wednesday.
So no August then?
Well, we can meet, if we meet in August, that's fine, but Jonathan
Then
won't be,
okay.
Jonathan won't be able to vote on this case.
Okay.
Cool.
As it, excuse me,
Yep,
Board
sure,
Chairman.
yep.
As it stands right now, the voting members are Zach, Jonathan, and Greg. So I just
Right.
wanted to clarify that.
Same
while
time,
we're
7.
sitting here.
No, this
We'll
one.
find that out. Is it still gonna be 7, Mr. Chairman?
7?
PM?
The meeting would be, yes.
Yep.
And that's gonna be August.
I thought you said 9/18.
19th, September 18th.
Would be
September.
September if
I'm
we weren't
sorry.
able to, if we couldn't do the August meeting,
Yep.
but.
Okay. Is there other things on the agenda for August?
Possibly one thing regarding a 40B that's already existed.
Okay. Well, it's
Okay.
totally up to you guys.
I can do anything, doesn't matter.
So if Jonathan, if you're not sure that you can make that meeting, then I would say we need to pick another member for this case.
All right, I'll make an alternate member for Michelle Lima,
Okay,
if Jonathan Gale cannot be here.
if you cannot attend, correct. Thank you.
Which gives a meeting on what day?
We're ta-
Wednesday.
Wednesday, September 18th, I believe, is the day we're talking right now.
Right.
Might be sometime in August, we're not sure if we're not gonna meet in August or not. That's up to the chairman at that point.
Will you folks send a letter
Well,
out?
you really should decide right now whether or not, it's not fair to the residents. You should really pick a date now for the next meeting, so that people leave here tonight knowing
No.
that.
I have questions on the other
Yeah,
issue.
yeah, okay, John, 1 second.
Either you're gonna meet in August or you're not. Which do you wanna do?
The board doesn't care, I think we should meet in August.
I'm fine with it. I know we
Please.
said we don't,
But-
but we've met in August before.
We've already had someone approach us about something, so I don't wanna put them off, or I don't wanna put the 2 cases that we have been hearing tonight, I wanna put them off anymore too.
Yep.
So, I think we will be meeting in August.
What date?
August 21st, it's a
21st.
Wednesday night at 7 o'clock.
8/21.
So, Nicole, can you reach out to the other members, other people that met tonight, that we tabled there
Yes,
for this meeting coming up in August?
2022.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so, now that's all squared away, can we please have a new motion?
New
Jonathan,
court,
go ahead.
Jonathan.
Jonathan, go ahead.
You go ahead, Greg, you make it.
Yes.
I make a motion that we,
Take it under
take it
advisement.
under advisement, and then we go over for a site visit, and we meet at the next meeting on this case.
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay.
This is tabled. Under advisement.
So we'll stake the house out like next week sometime for you.
That's
We put
fine.
4 wooden stakes, and we
That's
usually paint them pink. And then for your information, right in front, there's a utility pole, there's a nail in that pole, that's elevation 17, if you want to use that as a reference, so that the flood elevation will be 3 feet below that. So you can use that as a guide also.
Excellent, okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so before we go on to our next item on the agenda. I do want to state to this board and to the public the site visit for Strawberry Fields that was tentatively
17.
July 31st. We are going to cancel that. It has been brought to my attention that the property right now is not, the grass is not cut.
Well, it's not.
There's a lot of brush there, and the conversation that Nicole had with the developer was that there wasn't really any intentions to be doing any kind of clearing of that right now. So that being said, a site visit, we wouldn't be able to go onto the property, or even, we could go onto the property, you can't see anything.
And you can't park in there.
So, right, so for parking, not that it really matters right now, but we were going to approach the police and have a temporary parking, and we'd have someone directing traffic. But if for all of that, all we would be able to do is stand there on the side of the road and look at the woods. And I don't think it's worth anyone's time or money to stand there and look at the woods.
So the developer stated that he had no intentions on clearing out any lot right now?
That is correct. So that being said, there's really no, if we can't walk the property, there's no point of having a site visit. We're not going to.
Nobody's gonna climb through brush to walk out?
No, and I know, I do know a lot of the members a lot of the people in the audience that night wanted
Absolutely.
to do that, and I absolutely do too, but if we can't get onto the property, there's no sense of having it, jeopardizing the public to be parking along that road, driving along that road just to stand on the edge and look at brush.
I think everybody on the board is familiar with
One
the
second.
property.
Excuse me, gentlemen, do you mind just stepping outside?
Hey, guys, you wanna go outside?
Sorry, thank you. That's all right, you're fine.
I think all of the members of the board are familiar with where the property is, and I think all those abutters that were there the first night know what property we're talking about. We're talking 100 some odd acres that it's not gonna show us anything.
I would not expect him to clear a whole road for us to go
No.
through, but at least have a presentation of, okay, now we have a map, everybody's got it in front of us.
Right.
Looking at the property from the front of the property, even if he
It's-
cleared out a little spot, we
Right.
can pull off, go over it, look at it. There is a pond back there I used to ice skate on as a kid, and I know how to get to it, but I mean,
Right.
that's not the spot they're talking about clearing.
Right.
Correct.
So,
We asked him to stake the entrance, correct?
yes, we did.
And is there a fire entrance?
Back on the other one there was, this one
No,
here.
this one is
no,
not.
no.
I'm gonna start confusing the
At
two.
this point in time, there isn't.
Right. Doesn't mean there won't be.
Correct.
So if we can get back to the developer and say, make sure this thing is staked out by a certain date,
Right,
and then it gives the opportunity for
because
residents and us to drive by and say, okay, this
I
is the road
know
we're talking
the
about.
residents, when we go back to that next meeting, if this thing is not
Oh, yeah,
opened up, I'm not taking the heat because of the developer.
right.
It'll be on his hands.
Right, but I just wanted to
It's in
state
his
now
best
that
interest to go
that's-
ahead and get that taken care of, and I think that's something that, like you stated, have Nicole reach out to him, say that the board stated that, we do want to see the stakes on the property with a section of cleared out for us as well as all the butters.
Right,
Like
but-
was stated in the meeting.
Right.
I just didn't want to waste this board or the town.
Well, here's the thing
Time.
now.
Well, do we still
We gotta
wanna have the
send the
next
letters to
meeting?
the abutters that were there, that were planning on coming, because they're gonna be more mad that they went and sat there and nobody's came.
Right, that's why we're stating right now that, we also did say that for that date, we'll be notifying them if there's any kind of dates for weather change,
Did we
so.
get any kind of funding yet at this point in time from the developer to put into an escrow for the type of works that we gotta do for the Strawberry Fields project yet? Are we still early
You're talking to
stages of that?
53G, you mean?
Yeah, we have anything from them?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think at that point, we should be sending a certified letter to the abutters. I really do, stating that this happened.
So send a certified letter saying that we're not going to meet.
Not going to meet due to the
Right.
developer said he was not going to clear out that's exactly the way he said it to us. If not, honestly, we're gonna be into a heap of crap in front of
Then it
everyone.
raises the other question of whether or not we want to have the next meeting.
Well, yes, we're absolutely still having the August 14th meeting.
So,
Did the applicant state why they wouldn't clear out the spot?
We can't discuss the case too much right now, but
I'll just
you could,
recount.
recount the conversation, sure.
Zach and I were talking about meeting on that day, reaching out to the police, And I said I was gonna contact Bisher to actually see if it was cleared or not, due to what Zach said. I emailed him, he said at this time he wasn't planning on clearing anything. So, and I can send you guys the email response from him. And then Zach decided what he decided, so.
Well, we're gonna leave that one for now, we'll finish this.
Yeah, he doesn't have to clear anything.
Just needs to stake it.
But we asked him, and he agreed to stake the road,
Yeah.
the entrances to the road, or the entrance to the road, the 40-foot wide or whatever
Where the
he's
road
asking
was gonna be
for,
going in.
each corner with the stake. Now, we have a 53G account, so if we decide to go forward with this meeting, a site visit, then the money to pay the police department is gonna come from the 53G department, which means the developer's gonna be paying for this, to have a police detail. It's not gonna come from the town taxes.
Right.
So, I don't know if there will be necessarily a cost involved to have us there that night.
Cost, sure, but are the residents going to see anything that they can't see on the? I don't. You can't see on their own in terms of go out and see it yourself. I
But
don't
Greg
think
made
that
a
way.
good point. The listening to the conversation from the other night, these people are gonna make sure, and we do anyway, all of our Ts are crossed
Yeah, yeah.
and Is are dotted, and the last thing we want them to throw up at the board is to make it look like you guys don't know what you're doing. You scheduled a meeting, then you canceled it, because even to send them all a certified letter, are you going to explain the reason why we're canceling it? For safety reasons? If that's what you want to do. The developer wasn't changing the frontage at all, so there's nothing for us to see. These things should be probably put into that letter if we're indeed going to cancel it, so that our reasons are out there as to, and I think Greg said, put the onus on the developer saying, I'm not willing to come in and clear anything for you guys to walk this site, so therefore it's my fault that there's going to be no
Okay.
site visit.
I think it's also a safety issue. I mean, I don't know how much road signage there is, but whether you have 10 people or you have 50 people showing
Right.
up, where are people going to congregate? Who's
That-
going to explain what?
that
Where's
was-
the safety factor?
That was mentioned that night. Where was everybody going to park?
Yeah.
Right, and then so we looked into after the meeting. Nicole and I, Nicole looked into, do we get a shuttle? How does that work?
Yeah.
And that did not seem feasible at all. So then we said, well, I know, for example, the Couch Festival, the police do have temporary parking allowed, and there's a detail and all that. So I said, well, let's do that. As long, at least in that point, it would be allowed and it would be safe.
But
But if it doesn't matter where people park, if they have to walk to congregate into an area, where can they congregate
And
if
plus the time.
if there's
Right.
no if you can't congregate in a long line along the side of the road?
Typically, in the past, when we've had walkthroughs like that,
That's what I was going to ask you. What
it,
your
it
next time?
becomes. I remember we had a walkthrough for a guy's solar system on Pine Hill Road, and it became almost a fight with the neighbors because all of a sudden things are getting discussed that aren't supposed to be discussed. Neighbors get upset. The owner became upset. He didn't like the idea of people trespassing on his property to begin with. I just wonder if, again, if you're going to cancel it, do due diligence by saying these are the reasons why. The developer has not made it safe for us to inspect the property.
Parking or pedestrian space? Yeah.
Right.
Parking limitations, and therefore, the other thing I would do is reach out to the developer and say, part of this meeting that we had, you were supposed to stake out, and I think we even gave him a date to stake out the property.
something 17th was in my head. I don't know why, but that.
I got it in my notes at home.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody has it in the notes here, but we told him by, let's say it was July 17th, I'm making that date up.
Yeah.
That he was supposed to have the entrance staked out so that we could drive by or abutters could drive by and know where the road is. That's all we're really gonna be able to see. We're talking 100 some odd acres of land here. He's not gonna clear 50 acres of it.
No, what I
and-
expect.
and
no.
we're not gonna walk through brush. I think everybody just wants to see where this road is gonna be, and if you have a picture of the plot in front of you, you'll have an idea of, okay, this is the road, so this is where those houses are gonna be.
When this project was going to be Dighton, Somerset Woods, did you guys have a site visit for it?
No, we never made it. we didn't bother because our feeling was the abutters, although the initial meeting were several abutters, by the third meeting we were down to just a handful of abutters, and we all knew where the property was. They all knew where the property was because they were abutters, that it wasn't necessary to have a site visit.
Okay, so then I'm definitely going to reach to you guys for your guidance and opinion on this because I'm new to being a chair. What do you guys recommend we do? Do you recommend we keep up with the site visit or not?
Well, in our last meeting that we had,
Yep.
we all said we wanted to do a site visit.
Yep.
Am I correct? Okay.
Yes.
So this board requested a site visit. Bishop agreed, his lawyers agreed, they all shook their head right then and there. That we wanted to see where the road was going to be. Now, all the abutters in that meeting were under the impression that we're gonna have a meeting on the 30th or 31st of this month
31st.
to go out there and look at this thing. Now, I don't know how much you know about the 40B deal, but me and your father, we worked on that last one. It was months and months.
Yeah.
And it didn't go through. Okay, it went through on our end, which it'll do the same here. But when it gets into the conservation other ends, that's when things change. Again, the same type of situation we have here. We can only deal with what we can deal with. But the same note, those abutters, as well as this board, was promised that site visit was gonna happen on by this date and all that stuff, by the applicant and his lawyers. Now, for us to sit here and just to say, no, we're not gonna have it, and not let the abutters know, I feel, as a member of the board, that that's not the answer. Now, we all talked about doing this, certified letters now. Everybody's got to sign for it. All the abutters, there was only 11 abutters that actually showed up at that meeting. We know we're gonna have a lot more, and they're all gonna be at this, waiting for this meeting. So now we just stuck it to a beehive, and we're gonna be looking like the bad guy if we do not send out a certified letter.
Well, if we did cancel it, that would absolutely
That's
be what
why
we would
I'm
do.
stating, if the applicant said he's not going to do what he said he was going to do at the meeting, let him look like that in front of the abutters, not us.
I agree with Greg. The certified letter stating those reasons, safety initially, but because the developer has stated he was going to make it accessible for us, which he's not.
And Nicole, you said you have it in email, correct? That was in writing, he said that?
Yes, if you'd like, I can actually print out the email and we could read it at the.
We can have it for the meeting.
For the meeting
Yes,
and
I agree, we should have it
August
for the
14th?
meeting. Yes, so whatever meeting that we're having for Strawberry Fields. That
Well,
way,
let me ask, do we want to place a call to the developer tomorrow and simply say, this is what we're gonna be doing, we're canceling because you're not such and such?
well,
And
you
give
know,
them an opportunity to make it whole, to make it right?
Well then,
Give them a day or something, or two?
I have nothing against Bishop, but Bishop knows this is the thing, Jonathan, when we do a 40B,
Yep,
we got a lot of angry people at you.
yeah,
You're just at the beginning stages. You're gonna walk out of these parking lots, people are gonna be upset with you.
yep.
They're gonna say things, they're gonna be mean, okay? But we all gotta shrug it off, because all we're doing is what's in the best interest for the town of Dayton, and that's what we're doing. It's in the best interest for town of Dayton to let him not do what he's doing, and then we just go forward with what we're about to do. I feel we shouldn't have reached out to the applicant. He's the one who stated to us, he reached to us.
He already reached out.
So
You're
as
right.
far as I'm
No, it's
concerned,
true,
this
you're
is in
right.
Bishop's hands. I like Bishop. I'm not saying that, but I'm surprised that he even mentioned that he wasn't gonna have this. This, to me, sounds like there's something else going on behind the woodwork that we don't know about. So that's my opinion. I'm only one member of the board. You know, I mean, I just don't wanna walk into a bee's nest and start getting
No,
stung for something I had nothing
I
to do
don't
with.
disagree, I actually agree, I guess I'm just
I mean,
So a certified letter is everybody's opinion
yeah,
or not?
Nicole, is that something that you wouldn't mind drafting up? Obviously, I would.
Yeah,
Whatever
just draft up the letters, whatever he said, maybe you and Jonathan get together. Jonathan.
Oh, Zach, that's fine.
You and Zach get together, look at what he stated, and reverse it the same way, according to your letter stated on this date that you would not, and put it in our letter.
You can even incorporate his letter.
Into ours.
You can send his letter as an attachment with the,
Email?
no, not the email.
With
His
the-
email that he
It was
sent you.
email.
Yeah.
Send that email, print it out, and send it certified along with a letter explaining our board's position.
And I'm very understanding of what you two have said. You know, we did promise this meeting. I also don't want to get there and have 50 cars there and be like, where are you guys going to bring us? Oh, nowhere.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
they're like, so why are we doing this then?
Right.
At least now we have a official, certified, on paper reason as to why this is not happening. It's a safety caution, and they're
I agree.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
it's how he went about it, stating that, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
This is the beginning of a lot of money to start a project, and there's a lot of hours involved. There's over 150, 200 hours to do a 40B.
Yeah.
If not more. And this is a large order. And as much as he's coming in front of us, I don't wanna talk much about his case, but
No,
as
we
much as
can't.
he's coming in front of us and he's doing all his things, this is the beginning of a relationship. It's starting, he just kicked the feet out from under him. That's how I feel, you know, and that's how the butters are gonna make it feel, like, well, he promised this and he didn't do this. I don't want it to fall on us that we didn't strike back and say, look, Bishop, this is gonna happen. This is what we requested, this is what the butters required. This is gonna happen. Somehow, some way, make it happen.
Yep.
Since you're throwing down the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, it's in his court now.
Yeah. The previous 40B for this property, and not to refer back to that, I lost friendships over this.
Yes, you did.
And I actually had to kick somebody out for swearing at me, kick them out at one of the 40B meetings. So there are times it's going to get hot.
Yeah. No, I'm not the.
And I think Greg said it best. If this is the first thing and we're canceling it, we have to make sure that the residents know it's canceled because the
Yes.
developer refused to do anything with the
Absolutely.
property that would make it accessible
And if these are sent out,
to us or the residents.
yes, Nicole?
So I'd like to just take this opportunity to clarify.
Sure.
Just on my
Go for
end. So what I'm understanding the board is saying is that I should use the current abutters list for the Strawberry
Same people
Fields.
that you
Yeah.
sent to us.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Certified mailing.
Mhm.
I would send it out tomorrow because that would give approximately 2 weeks
Yeah.
before the meeting.
Mhm.
That would give an opportunity to cancel for the abutters to know. I would also cancel the posting that's at the clerk's office
Yep.
for both places outside of the clerk's office and at the accessible door. In the letter, we would be citing safety caution as far as traffic and concerns about having a large crowd meeting without it being cleared.
Yep.
And you want me to include the email from Bishop.
Yeah, Bishop's is the reason of cancellation, and our concerns due to Bishop's reasoning that he sent is the concerns of safety.
Okay.
The other thing is, I don't remember offhand what the frontage of this property is, but we have no meeting spot.
No, it's very small. very
The
close
residents, the people who were there that night didn't leave saying, we're all gonna meet at point A.
Well, it was where that
Little old house.
the abandoned house that's there. That was going to be the meeting
meeting
spot.
spot.
But the point was that was the meeting spot, but there was no
Right.
parking there.
Right.
So then it was, how do we get people from somewhere to park their cars to there? That's when we looked into the
Right.
shuttle. That
Yeah.
kind of wasn't. That was not going to be a real option. So my thing was, well, let's get a temporary
Right.
parking on the street.
If you can go back to your notes and find out when the developer was supposed to have it staked out, we can include that in the letter we're gonna send to the abutters, which would be saying if anybody wishes to drive by, the developer's gonna stake out the road by whatever date.
Yeah, it was just gonna do the 40-foot of frontage for
Right.
the road. That's all he was
That's all
going
he
to
was
do.
going to do.
But in front of the home is where we discussed the meeting spot. So even that is overgrown. So even if that's where we were gonna congregate, that needed to be at least mowed
Right.
to a point where we could go in.
Correct.
As of right now, I did do a cursory glance through my meeting minutes, and I do not have in there the discussion about staking.
Okay.
I don't believe that occurred either.
When you guys said that, that doesn't sound familiar to
I-
me either.
I think there was.
Didn't, we
I
brought that
remember-
up.
Well, I know I said in the meeting about, he said, well, where we're gonna meet, and what we discussed in front of the old house. And he says, well, I'm just gonna stake out, the lawyer said, well, what are we gonna stake out? Just a section, if you look in his minutes, what he said, it was his lawyer.
Okay.
I was just gonna stake out where the road goes. And I said, yeah, that's what we needed, and I know he was right beside me when
Yeah.
we said it was 40-foot
Right.
area. And, cause with the last one, where they were gonna have a fire entrance and they were gonna have a main entrance. And the main entrance is still in the same location on the other 40B. I don't like to use it as the same project either, but that's pretty much in the same spot. It's the only spot they have for the second means of entrance. The second means of egress that would be to the property was gonna be a fire road, and that's where that house is. And that's where they were gonna clear out and go in that way. This one here, he doesn't even have that listed at this
Correct.
point in
Yep.
time. So I don't know what his intentions of doing with that home.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I will go back through the video and find the time when he
I
actually.
wanna
made
say
the
it
call.
was, the lawyer sitting all the way over to the left, the young kid.
Chris Augustino?
Yes.
Yes, that was the kid's name, yeah. 'Cause he was just shaking his head yes to everything we were saying, and then he says, yeah, we'll do the 40-foot easement right there where the road's gonna go, that'll be perfect, you know? But ultimately, if the public can go to where that home is, and they drive by and see the red stakes, okay, and they come to the home, okay, now they're looking at it. All the abutters, like he's saying is that they're all the same abutters that we dealt with on the last one for the most part. They all understand what this property is. But there is a few that came to this one that haven't come to the other one, and they don't know. That's the reason why we need to have this, to put some easement. I know once we have a few meetings with them, they're gonna say, okay, yep, now I understand the property, but didn't that property have this, didn't that property have that, that looked high, that looked low. Gives them a basic idea.
Yeah.
Because not everybody can look at a piece of paper and understand.
I
topography.
completely agree that there should be some way of them to see something. I just don't think it's
My biggest, like I said, the biggest thing I have is this is like the honeymoon. We just opening up a starting relationship here, and you're already canceling the meeting.
And
Making-
you want the public to trust us.
Exactly.
That we're gonna
I
do
do
what's
not
best for
want
the
to go back.
interest of them and the town.
and that's why I think the letter is the best way to do that.
Yes.
I think so.
So,
So, okay,
and I'll come in the morning
okay.
to
Wonderful.
sign off on that for you.
Okay.
Do
All
we
right.
need a motion to have you sign off on the letter to approve it? or
No,
You're just good?
no.
Okay.
But the next item, similar to this, is going to be just discussing our availability for the next couple months.
I was
Yes.
talking to her about, I can do any time after 5.
Anytime after 5, yeah.
It might be, like, we're getting into some serious discussion and we have to be here a little earlier. I can always know, all right, this couple of weeks I can schedule something differently.
Yeah, right.
But ultimately, anytime after 5, I'm available.
For me,
Even- and again, I don't know, did we ever meet on weekends?
No.
Yeah, okay. So,
We did a lot of Tuesdays and Thursdays
I don't
because that
mind.
was Marguerite's availability.
Whatever dates work for you guys, I'll make happen.
The biggest thing you want is Marguerite. So if you check with Marguerite first.
if we all can, but she can't, doesn't matter.
She,
At that point,
and
yeah.
Marguerite is available,
Yeah.
then it's up to the developer to make himself available.
Because a lot of the stuff, the Agostino and Marguerite goes back and forth.
Right.
They don't even come here.
We don't
When
even see
we
it.
come here and we sit here and they go back and forth, and then at that section, then we make a motion. They go through the legal matters, and then it's stated in layman's terms how they would come up with their plans, and then we discuss it, whether we want to do it and make the motion. Because a lot of it is done through legal.
So, Mr. Chairman and the
Yes.
board, I did reach out to Marguerite, I did reach out to Peter Williams at GZA.
Yep.
I talked to Jason Quinn, who couldn't attend today. So, if you'd like, I can just go through. Everyone has in their packet a calendar for the next 6 months. I'll list off the days that both Peter Williams and Marguerite cannot.
These are the ones red and,
No, I'll list them off now and
oh, okay.
The blue is the
Our
the
regular
days of
meeting.
the meetings.
Our
Yes.
regular meeting.
blue is regular meeting, the circled in red is the current next Strawberry Fields meeting.
Okay.
And the hash mark is the.
Intent of date.
The site visit.
Correct.
Okay.
So Marguerite and Peter Williams cannot go to pretty much any Monday through the 6 months.
So we don't even make a meeting that day.
That is actually good because for me, I usually close on Mondays, so that's good. That's kind of out anyway.
I guess I'll focus on August to December because July's almost done.
Yeah, pretty much.
So August 1st, they can't. August 15th, Marguerite can't.
Okay, got one question for you.
Yes,
The one that, August 14th, that's our next meeting with Strawberry Fields.
Correct.
So, at that meeting, is Marguerite attending?
yes.
Yes.
So I don't think we should make any meetings for this until we have that meeting going forward after that. So I would say the Tuesday, the 20th or the 22nd down. because at that point Marguerite is gonna have her hands full with whatever we discuss in that meeting. And then we can get together and have our meetings going forward.
Okay, so would you like me to start in on September to December? or-
Sure, yeah.
Right, Marguerite always wanted 2 weeks from the last meeting.
Okay,
Oh, okay, good to know.
So if we had a meeting on the 14th, she wouldn't want a meeting until the 28th.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not saying we have to have one on the 28th, but she always wanted 2 weeks to go back and forth.
I did not know that, Nicole, I'm sorry.
And the other reason is, we're gonna ask for things from the developer.
You gotta get time.
We
gotta
can't,
give
we
them
can't do
time.
next Tuesday, sounds good, right?
You
Yeah,
gotta
right,
give them
right.
time to get stuff back to you.
okay.
So that would make us, what, on the 3rd of September?
That week, yep.
So going through September, she's
Yeah.
already said, the 5th and the 19th are no-goes.
I'm
She
just gonna
cannot
cross
attend.
those.
Yep.
Peter William can attend that 5th anyway.
Okay.
In October, she can't meet the 3rd, the 10th, or the 17th.
Okay.
And November is, she can't meet the 7th, the 13th, the 21st, or any days the last week of November. I
Tell
believe
her
that's
that's totally unacceptable. What else you got?
And December,
Yeah.
no to the 5th and the 19th.
Okay.
Both her and Peter Williams are involved with, I believe, a zoning board or a planning board within their town, so
Right.
I believe they both meet on the Thursdays, so that's.
She's a zoning board member of her own town.
Yes.
For uptown.
Now, let me ask you a question. What about Peter Williams?
So Peter Williams also can't meet any of the Mondays.
Your Mondays are out, okay?
Completely.
Fine.
He can't meet, August 1st, but that's before the next
Yeah,
meeting,
which
so.
is no problem.
September 5th, he
Which
can't.
is already crossed out.
Thursday the 3rd, again, it's crossed out. Thursday of October, I'm sorry.
Yep,
Thursday
bingo.
the 3rd of October. Sorry, November 7th, he cannot, which is a Thursday.
So it's crossed out, yeah.
And also December 5th, again, a Thursday.
So a lot of the same as Marguerite can,
Oh,
so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, have you picked a member to attend meetings that, for example, Conservation's gonna have a meeting? A zoning member should be there so that that zoning member can come back to the zoning board and say, this is what was discussed at the.
Right, and it doesn't even have to be one of the 3 40B
No,
members,
it just
correct?
has to be somebody who's gonna communicate back to
Correct.
the board. This happened at the Board of Health meeting, this happened at the zoning board, not the zoning board, this happened at Conservation. And, that doesn't have to be a voting member, it just has to be a member of the zoning board. And at those meetings, we're not there representing the zoning board, we're just there as a resident almost. listening.
We're not on their agenda, we don't
Right,
speak,
we
well, I
don't
mean,
speak.
No, just as an observer.
just,
Just
yeah,
as an observer, correct.
What day are their meetings?
they
They
vary.
haven't
I mean,
been, they haven't been scheduled yet, nothing will be scheduled until.
They're regular meetings scheduled, but not anything
Okay.
regarding 40B yet.
It's probably about
Sorry,
3 or
Fields.
4 months away, at least before, at least, the very least, 4 months away before.
I mean,
they'll be
I could
having
do it
meetings.
as long as I'm available, and as long as it's after, like, 5:30.
It would be. I shouldn't say that. I'm assuming their
They
meetings
used
are after
to-
5:30.
Sometimes the board, we'd have to meet during the day too with certain
Right.
boards. you
Yeah.
know,
Board of Health met during the day,
And wasn't it also-
but they was selectmen at the time.
Yeah. the
Right,
selectmen, and
right.
they also met with the fire chief, police chief.
Right.
On matters and different matters on that during the day as well. So, but those that they, like he said, Peter said, this is gonna be a while, a long time. But this whole calendar right here isn't even close to having those meetings.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman and the board, the reason I'm doing the 6 months is because there was some blowback at the beginning of our last Strawberry Fields meeting, and I felt like this would be kind of a time for us to just
Right.
compile our schedule.
Absolutely.
So I know it's gonna be like
Yeah,
years.
But we would have to start somewhere, right?
Right.
No, absolutely.
So,
I agree.
at this moment in time, are you asking us to try to pick dates to meet? Is that what you'd like us to do? Or you
Yes.
just want us to review this and talk to you next meeting?
However the board would
I
like
don't know, I'm
to.
asking you guys.
I'm available any day, any night, it doesn't matter.
Me,
Mondays is no good for you.
right.
Zach.
Neither are Fridays. I usually work Friday nights. The Tuesday,
Well, you want
Wednesday.
a long weekend, Mondays and Fridays, jeez.
Unbelievable.
So wait,
Oh my
the voting members is Jason's one of them too though, right?
Jason, myself.
Okay.
And Jason, I did get his schedule, because he couldn't attend today. Mondays are right out for him too, so.
Works.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, he said he would be available after 7:30 until September. And after
Okay.
September, he could go as early as 6 o'clock.
Okay. Okay.
Wednesdays are okay, Fridays are okay, but not preferable. He is gonna be busy the last week of August, and also September 26th to the 30th.
I think you're almost better off picking a date and time at the next meeting.
Yeah, let's all gather our time.
But at least now we know the availability,
Right.
so we're not sitting there being like, when are you free? When are you
Sounds
free?
like Mondays and Fridays is not gonna happen.
Right.
That's fine. I'm open for any day, as long as it's after 5. And we also gotta, when we do open our meeting, we have to make a motion for the meeting to adjourn no later than 10:30. Because honestly, I leave at 5.
I'll do 10. I mean, I don't care. I mean,
I'm just saying,
No,
we
absolutely.
were out, couple meetings, midnight, 1
Midnight,
o'clock,
yeah.
out in the parking lot.
Right.
And I gotta, why go to bed, just wait and go back to work.
no,
And that's what-
absolutely.
That's
It's
what's
not,
gonna
it's
be. a
not
few
fair to
nights.
any of us or the residents who have lives outside of.
I just this is something I remember that we were running into, and finally we said we have to table it, you know?
No,
Yeah.
I'm
The,
no objection to that.
As the hearings start to wind down, unlike an applicant that was before us this evening, where the board vote has to be unanimous, on a 40B, it doesn't have to be, just majority rules. So 2 of the 3 have to approve the project. Now, if a voting member misses a meeting through maybe even no fault of their own, you're faced with the situation where you have to ask the developer, is it okay that this voting member missed the meeting, but still the board will bring them up to date, that they still can vote on it? If the developer says, no, if I don't want that because they're not here tonight, then you're gonna have to pick an alternate member of somebody who's attended all the meetings.
For the rest of the case.
So I know Jason's schedule is tight, but that's why I don't think you should book anything this evening. I think you should be at the next 40B. Do like you did, like what's always been done is you discuss with the 3 voting members and you discuss
Right.
with Marguerite. And Peter Williams is not going to attend every meeting. I doubt he'll even be at the next meeting. His role is defined. Unlike Marguerite, where it's all encompassing, Peter Williams is only going to handle engineering, and he's not going to be at most of the meetings.
They don't even have it ready yet.
Right. And a lot of time, his opinion comes by letter anyway. It's not even him.
Right, but I mean, I do think it's
Does
a
it
bold.
make sense for us to at least pick a September meeting so that we're not bound by the next
Sure,
time we
you-
meet and then Marguerite says,
Absolutely.
you know, that
I
one's off the
mean,
calendar?
we can say a tentative date. I mean, like, just so we.
Pick a September date.
Yeah.
That's okay, because you know, the only thing is you don't know is the developer. He might, a lot of times you find out they're in court on a certain date
Yeah.
and don't want to risk.
All right, so
But-
Mr. Chairman and the board, I'm sorry, I just
No,
need
go
to
ahead.
clarify. So on our agenda tonight, it's to review and discuss, not to vote. We are not officially choosing a date today.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
This was just an exercise to get people to consider their schedule and give me a schedule so that we would have working dates to present at the next meeting.
Right,
So
so
that
why
Which
there
which
isn't
we
that-
do.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
so we stay with that,
Is that,
and then,
She's absolutely right. We shouldn't be voting on it.
Yeah.
It's not fair for us to.
what, I mean, this
I-
right
So
here.
your next one is the 14th and Jason will be there.
yes.
Correct. That's already been
Yeah.
decided that on that meeting day. You're correct.
But that date, let's make sure we bring up that alternative thing, if for some reason it's gonna fall that Jason might not be here or something like that, that we do have an alternate member that's been here the entire time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which
Whether it's
usually
Peter,
happens
you,
towards
you.
the end when, it's happened on every 40B where the 3 voting members haven't, I think it was this last one that we did, that was the same 3 voting members, you, Joe, and I.
Yeah,
But most of the time, it's always changed, just because somebody misses too many meetings and,
Okay. So are you satisfied? Do you have enough information to? No?
Well, no. So the calendars that are in everybody's folders, if you could at some point fill those out and give them to me, and I will compile your availabilities.
Well, I made a mess of mine.
Oh, it's okay, I can give you a new one. But just so I can have something for you to choose dates at the meeting.
Yep.
So we're kind of,
So I can quickly ask you who's up there that day? Yeah.
well,
Well, I'm gonna
we're
be
saving
dropping off a
time.
permit Monday. I'll
Okay.
bring in mine.
Perfect, thank you.
That way you have it.
Professor, I'll have mine do Monday.
I'm available any day.
Okay.
It doesn't matter, so
The
it's open
sooner-
availability.
Okay, the sooner the calendars are in, the more I can combine them, and then I'll email you out, if that's okay?
Sure.
And then you can start considering dates before our August 14th.
Now I want a certified letter.
Send it to the butters.
All right, so we are going to table the approving and the signing of the May 22nd meetings because there was a typo regarding
The road-
138
The road number, yep.
is now Magical Street. Nicole made up 128. Sorry.
No worries.
So we'll have that fixed for. I'll sign that tomorrow, but I won't sign it tomorrow. I'll have it fixed for the next meeting.
It's up to you.
Right, I mean, I want us, the board, to be able to take one last look at it before it's officially signed off on. As for the 26th meeting, do I have a motion to approve the meetings from the 26th Strawberry Field meeting minutes?
Mr. Chairman, yes, you have a motion to approve June 26th Strawberry Fields.
Do I have
Meeting minutes.
a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next one, authorized expenditures. Payroll was, this is going to be since May because we had no June regular meeting.
That answers my question.
4,000.
Why?
Yeah.
$4,782.66.
Wasn't that the increase that was voted at town meeting?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Sonathan.
Decrease.
A motion to accept, please.
Make a motion that we accept the payroll amount for
$700.
$4,782.66.
Second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next will be the bills paid, $4,806.34. Have a motion to accept.
Motion to accept bills paid, $4,806.34.
Any discussion? Sorry,
Second
second.
that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Do I have a motion to adjourn, unless there's anything else, anyone wants to bring up?
Does anybody want to discuss the cases that we heard this evening? Because what's going to happen is the next meeting, we're going to be asked to vote on it. You can discuss them now, if nobody has any discussions on them. One of the things, like I was saying earlier, that I always look at is how are these two properties going to change the neighborhood of the people who live there. Prime example is on our street, everybody's required to have 250 feet of frontage. One meeting, Neil McDonald's daughter came in with 25 feet of frontage. So can you imagine everybody having these huge lots, and all of a sudden somebody coming in with a 25-foot frontage? Everybody in the neighborhood was upset by it. So my rule of thumb has always been, I listen to the abutters and the people who live there, and then determine that they're the ones who are going to live with this eyesore or not an eyesore in their neighborhood. That's why it's always best to have everything taken on advisement so that you can go by and drive by these properties.
We've had, in the past few meetings, we've had a lot of clear cut kind of, but these two.
Somerset Ave, though, like your dad was saying, all them homes in that area do meet the same criteria. They're all small lots.
Right.
There was an existing house.
Exactly.
The house had to come down. They took the house down. The owner sold the house after he did a Title V. I'm familiar with that piece of property.
They're actually improving the
They're
neighborhood.
actually, and I've talked to, I had a clam bake over on the 4th of July week, and some of the abutters that were there, and they were like, well, I hope it doesn't stay a wooded lot, because they didn't want to have grass and grow. I can't speak for them all. Those two of them that I talked to brought it up to me about it. I just want to say that I think that particular case, I understand with that one on the one on the corner of Brook Street. You know,
Nobody at town hall told him that it was a buildable lot.
No,
The only one that would have told him would have been Jimmy Aguirre, and Jimmy Aguirre knows it's not a buildable lot.
close.
So nobody from the town said to him that
His
that was a buildable
situation
lot.
is more after we give the side setbacks as conservation. It's the same with this Strawberry Fields things that we're gonna do. We're gonna give them all this and all that, everybody's gonna be mad at us, and then they go to conservation, and that's where it stops.
Did he say what kind of house that was?
He did, he said a 3-bedroom, oh yeah,
Ranch?
3-bedroom walk-in back basement, so, because
So like a reverse
the
ranch?
topography of the land, so when you drive in the front, the driveway's gonna come around the side of the house with a garage underneath.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking, because it's gonna be a step back
Yeah.
on the back. It's the only way he's gonna have a garage he don't have the room to build a garage, so it'd have to be incorporated into the home.
Yeah.
I mean, he does build some beautiful homes.
So it'd basically be like a reverse ranch, so the front will look like
Flat.
So because they're all ranches basically
Yes,
in that
it'd
whole
be a
area,
raised
except for
ranch, 2
the
floors.
house on the corner is a very older house.
Yes.
I
So,
guess maybe this is part of my newbie to this, of course, and I understand what we're charged with in terms of his variance, but it still seems to me, and this is where I say I'm the newbie, or one of the newbies, is that variance to some extent is based on the wetlands, and it's based on water.
One of the things that you don't want to do is overstep what is asked of you.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
the
okay.
reason why I say that is,
So it's just like the
if
rest
you
of
give them a reason to appeal your decision. So if we voted no, and he felt that the board said, because you have to give them reasons, the 3
Yeah.
voting members have to say
Right.
why they voted no or voted yes.
Right.
You just don't vote yes and walk away, or vote no. You have to give them a reason why. And if you vote no because of the water runoff, he has a reason to go to the State House and appeal and win his case.
he will win it.
And say the board acted outside their decision.
Because all I'm asking of the board is to give me 20 feet, or 25 feet, no, 15 feet
Yeah,
of
and I-
relief. That's
And I
what
do
you're-
know that. I mean,
That's
I
what you're,
understand that.
right.
I'm famous for bringing up septic systems, this and that, and it's not really anything they're asking for.
Yeah.
But at the same note, I understand how it's supposed to look at the end, but at the same note, like Peter said, if he comes in and it's setback reliefs only, that's realistically all he's asking for this board to answer on. And that's what he actually was in here for, was setbacks.
Right.
His
Yeah.
obstacle is gonna be conservation, not us.
Right.
You know, so that's where, I understand where some of the folks in here don't see how that works, and I get it.
It's similar to Strawberry Fields when they were all saying, do your due diligence. Like, guys, we're voting on this tomorrow.
I mean,
You know, so
God.
listening, I think it's a lot of people that just don't
I
quite
get
understand.
it, and I understand the hostility. Who wants all that? But you know, our hands are bound a little bit here.
Yep.
At the same note, we worked our butt off getting for the last one, and he went to conservation and blew up in his face.
Yep.
So, same thing, we're gonna do, I'll work our butts off to do this 40B the best that we can do for the town of Dayton, in the best interest of everyone, and then at that point, follow suit, and good luck. It's out of our hands, because like I stated, they came in with different roads, all these different things on the other one, and the fire department couldn't get around. There was a lot of things that changed the way the whole structure design works. So it's a long process before it even gets to an actual, okay, here's what it's gonna be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what, it's hard, and as I said, I totally get it, I do.
Yeah,
You know
and that's one of the
It just-
reasons why he stated that Peter Williams won't be here a lot, until we actually have
Yeah.
a tentative plan.
Yeah.
And then at that point, he puts in his 2 cents, and they go back and forth, and comes back, and we make agreements, and then we can take that plan. You know, but I just, like I said, one of my concerns was with Bishop backing out of
Yeah.
that was something that was like, oh man, that's just.
And even on the second one we heard tonight, I understand what our parameters are. It's you know, you hear the concerns of the abutters.
It's
Right.
hard to just,
and
I
it's
know.
hard to just.
Yeah, no, I
And
understand.
the last thing you want to do is say it's not our
Oh,
department.
pass the buck. Yeah, like I
Because
said, yeah.
that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
But the legality of it is it's
realistically,
not.
You gotta look at what's in front of us, and what's in front of us is
Can I have this
relief
few
from a
feet?
setback.
Yep.
It has, and I'm waiting for the day that somebody sits there, and the applicant sits there and says, that's not your department, it's not your concern.
He's right.
Because when you start going off on things that don't pertain to what's in front of
We're
you,
charged with, yeah.
you are risking an appeal that the town will have to pay to fight and ultimately lose.
Because we acted,
because
yeah.
Because they'll request the minutes, and it's,
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
and that's, sometimes we gotta be like, I got you, but I can't.
Yeah.
You know?
Nicole, is there anything else for me or us you want to discuss before we adjourn?
I didn't mean to dominate the meeting.
No.
Thank you.
Glad you did.
No.
Sharing is caring. Is
I'm
it?
fine.
Absolutely. That's his last
I'm
name.
taking it all in.
And Michelle just got it.
I just, woo, sorry.
Alrighty. You good? Before we-
I'm sorry, I'm like, just give me a minute.
Did we definitely decide on that meeting on the 21st, or is that
21st. The 31st?
did we decide definitely on our?
We are
meeting?
having a regular meeting in August. We did.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to mention to the board under, I guess, public input would be that our town administrator did reach out to Bisher regarding her concerns about the single-family homes in surveillance. But we won't discuss it. I'm just letting you know that's going
Okay.
on. I have reached out to multiple boards to let them know that we're still receiving letters. One thing I do want to ask, if I am going to be sending out a very detailed certified letter tomorrow, which I will be, would you like me to also include in the text asks for abutters letters? Any sort of concerns to be written and submitted to the...
I would almost keep the arguments separate.
Yeah, I don't wanna drag
Okay.
that into one.
Start coloring it
Okay,
in,
that's fine. I
give-
don't want to make it
Gives
complicated.
them ammunition.
I think there'll be a time in a meeting
Well,
to
I'm
ask
sure we're
others
gonna
to
hear
submit
it.
in writing.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it's
I
not
don't know if
it's not a bad thought at all, but great.
No, it's okay. So as of right now, no, that's it.
Very good. Okay.
motion to adjourn.
Second that motion?
All in
The back
all in
seat, go
favor?
ahead.
Aye.